Commander Alex Reeves stood alone in the observation deck of the rescue vessel Sentinel, his eyes fixed on the floating debris that was once the human colony of New Hope. The ship's lights were dimmed out of respect for the dead, casting his face in shadow. The wreckage stretched for miles, habitat modules torn apart, farming equipment twisted into unrecognizable shapes, and the worst sight of all, the bodies. So many bodies, frozen in the vacuum of space. The Vaxary had struck without warning 3 days ago. Their energy weapons cut through the settlement's defenses, as if they weren't even there. 50,000 human lives ended in less than 6 hours. Among them were Alex's sister Kate, her husband, and their 7-year-old daughter Emma. Alex's hand tightened around the small stuffed rabbit he'd given Emma on her last birthday. It was the only thing the recovery teams had found from his family. The toy had somehow survived in a sealed section of their habitat unit. "Commander, we've finished the preliminary scan," said Officer Ryan Peters from the doorway. "Do you want to review the findings now, or should I send them to your terminal?" Alex didn't turn around. "Give me the summary, Ryan." Ryan hesitated, then stepped forward to stand beside his commander. "It's worse than we thought. The attack wasn't random or opportunistic. The Vaxary targeted critical systems first, communications, power, life support. They knew exactly where to hit us. This was planned, maybe for months. Casualties? Final count is 48,723 confirmed dead. Another 1 of 500 or so missing, but given the damage, Ryan's voice trailed off. "No survivors then," Alex said flatly. "We found 26 people alive in a maintenance bunker. They're in medical now, but most won't make it. The radiation exposure was severe." Alex finally turned to face Ryan. In the dim light, his eyes looked hollow. "Were there children among the survivors?" Ryan looked down. "No, sir." Alex nodded once and returned his gaze to the destruction outside. "What about the Vaxary? Any sign of their ships?" "Long gone. They jumped to FTL minutes after the attack ended. We've sent the tracking data to Earth Command, but they had a good head start." Alex placed Emma's stuffed rabbit carefully in his pocket. "I want everything documented. Every piece of debris, every body, every weapon signature. I want evidence, so clear that even the Galactic Council can't ignore it." "Sir," Ryan said carefully. "The Council, they've already issued a statement. They're calling it a tragic accident, possibly caused by reactor failures in the colony's power grid." Alex's laugh was cold and empty. "Reactor failures don't target communications first. Reactor failures don't use energy weapons. The Vaxary did this, and the Council knows it. The Vaxary ambassadors claiming they had no ships in this sector. The Council seems to be accepting their story." "Of course they are," Alex said bitterly. "The Vaxary control too many trade routes. The Council won't risk their precious economy for a human colony on the edge of explored space." He turned to face Ryan fully. "But we will have justice with or without the Council's help. Sir, what can we do? We're just a rescue ship. For now, we do our job. We collect our dead, we gather evidence, and we wait for orders." Alex's voice hardened. "And I will personally make sure Earth Command understands exactly what happened. Here, on Earth, Admiral Susan Winters reviewed the preliminary report from the Sentinel with growing anger. The images from New Hope Colony turned her stomach, but she forced herself to look at each one. The people who died there deserved at least that much respect. "How certain are we that the Vaxary are responsible?" she asked the room of senior officers. General Frank Miller, head of military intelligence, stepped forward. "The weapon signatures match Vaxary technology perfectly. We also have communication intercepts suggesting their fleet was in the area despite their claims to the contrary. It's them, no question." Susan stood up and walked to the window overlooking the sprawling headquarters of United Earth Command. "And the Galactic Council? They've rejected our petition for a formal investigation," said diplomat Alan Carter. "They cite insufficient evidence and the Vaxary statement denying involvement. Off the record, 3 council members told me they believe us, but the majority won't move against the Vaxary. They're too important economically." Susan turned back to the room, her face set in grim determination. "Then we're on our own. What are you suggesting, Admiral? Alan asked carefully. The Vaxary military is significantly larger than ours. Direct confrontation would be suicide. I'm not suggesting war, at least not openly. Susan pressed a button on her desk, and the room's security level increased. The windows darkened and additional scanning devices activated to prevent any possible surveillance. What I'm about to propose does not leave this room, she said. Effective immediately, I'm authorizing Operation Ledger. We will gather irrefutable evidence of Vaxary guilt and we will ensure appropriate consequences follow. General Miller looked concerned. The Council has explicitly ordered us to take no action. The Council has failed in its duty to provide justice, Susan replied coldly. They've left us no choice but to seek it ourselves. She brought up a holographic display showing a sleek vessel unlike any in Earth's known fleet. This is the Retribution. Stealth technology, advanced sensors, and a crew complement of 40. It's been in development for 5 years under the deepest security protocols. I've never seen this ship in any report, said General Miller. That's the point, Frank. There are aspects of Earth's military development that we've kept hidden, even from our allies. The Retribution is just the tip of the iceberg. Susan enlarged the image of the ship. Captain Elijah Wright will command. His orders are to penetrate Vaxary space undetected, gather concrete evidence of their involvement in the New Hope massacre, and identify targets of opportunity. Targets? Alan Carter looked alarmed. You're planning a strike? I'm planning justice, Susan corrected him. Proportional response is allowed under Article 7 of the Galactic Charter, even without Council approval. Once we have proof, we'll have legal standing to act. The Vaxary won't see it that way, Alan warned. This could escalate quickly. Then they shouldn't have massacred our people, Susan said simply. She looked at each person in the room. Make no mistake, this is just the beginning. While Captain Wright gathers evidence, we'll prepare for what comes next. The Vaxary believe they can kill humans with impunity. They believe we are weak. They will learn how wrong they are. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, General Miller spoke. I'm with you, Admiral. What do you need from each of us? Susan's eyes were cold as ice. Everything. Because we're going to show the galaxy what happens when humanity's debt comes due. The Retribution drifted silently at the edge of Vaxary territory, its advanced stealth systems making it invisible to standard detection methods. Captain Elijah Wright studied the tactical display showing nearby patrol routes of Vaxary vessels. His ship had been operating in shadow for nearly 3 weeks, gathering intelligence and intercepting communications. Status report, Elijah said to his bridge crew. Lisa Blackwood looked up from her station where she monitored Vaxary communications. With dark hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing, she had served as a diplomat before joining this mission. I've been tracking their military channels. They're speaking more freely than they would with outsiders listening. The patterns are becoming clear. What have you found? Elijah asked. Something important. Lisa pulled up a series of translated messages on the main screen. They've added a new military holiday to their calendar. They call it Victory at Hope's End. The date matches exactly with the New Hope colony attack. Elijah's face darkened. They're celebrating it. Yes, Lisa confirmed, her voice tight with controlled anger. They talk about it as the human lesson, a demonstration to show our species our proper place in the galaxy. Daniel Hayes, the ship's xenotechnologist, joined them on the bridge. His clothes were rumpled from hours of work and he carried a data tablet. Captain, I've completed my analysis of their defense systems. I can confirm that it's definitely possible to infiltrate their outpost on Daxa 4. Their security protocols have predictable patterns. Elijah nodded. Good work. How soon can you be ready? I can go within 8 hours. My cover identity as a maintenance contractor is solid. Their system is due for regular updates and I've created credentials that will pass inspection. Elijah turned to face his team. This is our best opportunity so far. Daniel will infiltrate the outpost and extract their military data, while Lisa continues monitoring communications. I want irrefutable evidence of their involvement in the New Hope massacre. Earth command was clear. We need proof that will stand up even to a skeptical Galactic Council. Lisa frowned. The Council hasn't shown much interest in justice for New Hope. That may be true, Elijah said, but we will follow procedure. We will build a case so strong that even the Vaxary cannot deny their guilt. Then, and only then, will we move to the next phase. 2 days later, Daniel Hayes, disguised in the scaled body armor of a Vaxary maintenance technician, walked calmly through the military outpost on Daxa 4. His face was hidden behind a breathing mask that supposedly protected him from human bacteria. In reality, it helped conceal his features while his specially designed boots added height to match Vaxary proportions. A guard stopped him at a security checkpoint. Identification, the guard demanded in the clicking language of their species. Daniel presented his forged credentials and spoke through a translator device. Maintenance team, scheduled comm system update for level 3. The guard scanned his credentials and waved him through without a second look. Daniel kept his movement slow and deliberate, matching the Vaxary walking style he had practiced for weeks. Once inside the communication center, he began the routine maintenance procedures while secretly connecting a small device to the main system. The technology developed specifically for this mission began extracting secured military data while appearing to run standard diagnostics. "You, worker." A Vaxary officer approached him. "How much longer?" "System is showing corruption in data banks," Daniel replied, keeping his eyes down as was proper for lower caste workers in their society. "Need to run deeper scan. Will take additional 30 minutes. The officer made an annoyed clicking sound. "Be quick. We have important communications scheduled." "Yes, Superior One," Daniel said, using the proper honorific. When the officer left, Daniel continued his work, sweat building under his disguise. The device was pulling more data than expected, including what appeared to be complete battle plans for the New Hope attack. This was far better evidence than they had hoped to find. Back on Earth, Admiral Susan Winters reviewed the intelligence package sent by the Retribution. The information was displayed on a secure terminal in her private office with only General Miller present. "This is beyond what we expected," Susan said, her voice quiet but intense. They documented everything: battle plans, casualty projections, even congratulatory messages between their military leaders after the attack. Miller leaned forward to study a particular file. "This recording is damning. Their high command discussing how they bribed 3 key members of the Galactic Council to dismiss our claims. Send copies of the corruption evidence to our few trusted allies," Susan ordered. "The Tellurians and Nanari have always been suspicious of Vaxary expansion. They won't join us directly, but they'll stay neutral when we move." "And we are moving forward?" Miller asked, though he already knew the answer. Susan's eyes were cold. "Operation Ledger is proceeding to the next phase. Alert Commander Reeves. The Vindicator Battle Group is authorized to deploy." Miller nodded. "The Vaxary have no idea what's coming." "No," Susan agreed. "They think humanity is weak, divided, and afraid to act without Council approval. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Commander Alex Reeves sat in the captain's chair of the Vindicator, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. Its existence had been kept secret from the Galactic Council, its construction hidden within the asteroid belt of Sol system. At his command were 5 additional warships of the same class: the Judgment, the Reckoning, the Justice, the Vengeance, and the Requiem. On the main screen was an image of their target, Keltrex, a Vaxary military manufacturing moon with minimal civilian population. Intelligence confirmed it produced components used in the weapons that destroyed New Hope. "All ships report ready, Commander," said Ryan Peters, now serving as Alex's first officer. "Navigation," Alex ordered. "Final coordinates locked?" "Yes, sir." "Jump calculations complete for all vessels in the battle group." Alex took a moment to touch the small rabbit toy in his pocket, his niece Emma's last gift. Then he straightened in his chair. "Send to all ships. Execute jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Space twisted around the human vessels as they entered FTL. Within moments, they emerged in perfect formation directly in orbit around Keltrex. Their sudden appearance triggered automated defense systems, which the Vindicator's advanced shields deflected with ease. "Open a channel," Alex ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies used by the Vaxary. Channel open, sir." Alex's voice was calm, but carried unmistakable authority. "This is Commander Alex Reeves of United Earth Command. We have irrefutable evidence of Vaxary responsibility for the unprovoked destruction of New Hope Colony and the deaths of nearly 50,000 human civilians. In accordance with Article 7 of the Galactic Charter regarding the right of proportional response, we are executing a limited military action against this facility." He paused for a moment before continuing. "We have identified this moon as a military installation with minimal civilian presence. You have 30 minutes to evacuate all personnel. After that time, we will begin our operation. This is your only warning." The Vaxary response came quickly, a mixture of threats, denial, and demands that the human ships withdraw immediately. Alex turned to Ryan. "Start the countdown and prepare targeting systems. When the time comes, I want precision strikes, on military installations only. The galaxy will see we can deliver justice without stooping to the level of those who murdered our people." Ryan nodded grimly. 30 minutes, sir. Then the debt begins to be paid." Exactly 30 minutes after Commander Alex Reeves delivered his warning, the human fleet opened fire on the Keltrex moon. The weapons that erupted from the 6 Earth vessels were unlike anything the galaxy had seen from humans before. Precision. Energy beams struck military targets with surgical accuracy. Missile systems bypassed Vaxary shields using technology humanity had publicly claimed was decades away from development. From the bridge of the Vindicator, Alex watched as the targeting systems identified and destroyed weapon factories, defense installations, and military barracks while somehow leaving nearby civilian structures untouched. The display of targeting precision was extraordinary. "Status report," Alex ordered. Ryan checked his console. "All targets being hit with 98% accuracy, sir. Vaxary defense systems proving ineffective against our weapons. Their fleet is scrambling to respond, but the nearest vessels are still 20 minutes out. Civilian casualties. None detected. The evacuation appears to have been completed." Alex nodded with grim satisfaction. "Good. I want the galaxy to see the difference between us and them. They slaughtered innocent civilians without warning. We target only military assets and give time for evacuation." The operation continued for 18 minutes. By the time it was complete, every military installation on Keltrex had been systematically destroyed. The Vindicator and its sister ships formed a defensive perimeter, ready for the approaching Vaxary fleet. "Message from Earth Command, sir," Ryan announced. "Admiral Winters sends congratulations on a successful first strike." "First strike," Alex repeated quietly. "This is just the beginning." As the Vaxary fleet approached, Alex opened a channel again. "Vaxary vessels, be advised. Our operation on Keltrex is complete. We have destroyed only military targets and taken care to avoid civilian casualties. We will now withdraw from this system. But know this, the debt for New Hope has only begun to be paid." Before the stunned Vaxary commanders could respond, the human fleet activated their drive systems and disappeared into FTL, leaving behind a shattered moon and a message that would echo across the galaxy. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives from over 30 species shouted over each other as news of the human strike spread. The Vaxary ambassador, Kriexval, stood at the center of the chamber, his scaled skin flushed with anger. "This unprovoked attack is an outrage," he declared. "The humans must be sanctioned immediately. Their fleet must be confined to their home system." Ambassador Alan Carter of Earth waited calmly for his turn to speak. When the council president finally recognized him, he approached the central podium with a data device in hand. "Honored representatives," Alan began, "the Vaxary claim our action was unprovoked. Nothing could be further from the truth." He activated the device, and evidence collected by the Retribution began to play throughout the chamber. First came detailed battle plans for the attack on New Hope, followed by casualty projections, and finally, the damning recordings of Vaxary High Command discussing the bribes they had paid to council members. 3 members of this council accepted payment to dismiss humanity's petition for justice, Alan said into the stunned silence that followed. Their names and the evidence against them have been forwarded to the Council Ethics Committee. The Vaxary ambassador sputtered in rage. These are fabrications, human lies. The data has been authenticated by independent experts from the Tellurian and Nanari delegations, Alan countered. Its authenticity is beyond question. He turned to address the full council. Humanity sought justice through established channels and was denied due to corruption. In accordance with Article 7 of the Galactic Charter, we have executed a proportional response against military targets only. We gave warning to allow evacuation. We avoided civilian casualties. The council president, visibly shaken by the evidence of corruption within their ranks, spoke carefully. While the evidence against certain council members is disturbing and will be investigated, the fact remains that Earth took military action without council approval. This body cannot condone such unilateral force. Alan's response was measured, but firm. With respect, Madam President, when this body failed to uphold justice due to corruption, it lost its moral authority to dictate our response. 50,000 human lives demand justice. That debt will be paid. Are you threatening further military action? The President asked. I am stating a fact, Alan replied. Justice delayed is justice denied. The Vaxary massacred our people. They will face consequences for that action. As the session continued, messages reached the chamber about the 3 accused council members. All 3 had fled their posts, essentially admitting their guilt. The council was thrown into even greater disorder, as representatives tried to determine how many previous decisions might have been influenced by Vaxary bribes. On the Vaxary homeworld, Supreme Commander Zexril reviewed the damage reports from Keltrex with growing concern. His military advisors stood nervously around the command table. How is this possible? Zexril demanded. Humans do not have this level of technology. Our intelligence reports were clear. General Vextar, head of military intelligence, shifted uncomfortably. It appears the humans have been less than truthful about their capabilities, Supreme Commander. Less than truthful? Zexril's voice rose dangerously. They destroyed our most secure military production facility with ease. Their targeting systems ignored our most advanced shielding. This goes beyond deception. This suggests years of deliberate misdirection. There is worse news, another advisor said hesitantly. 6 other human warships of the same class have been detected near our border colonies. They appear to be waiting. Zexril's scales darkened with rage. Mobilize the fleet. We will show these humans what real power looks like. They destroyed 1 moon. We will burn their colonies one by one until they beg for mercy. Supreme Commander, General Vextar cautioned, perhaps we should consider diplomatic options. The evidence they presented to the Council, fabrications, Zexril snapped. And even if some of it is true, what of it? New Hope was a demonstration of our power. Now we will give them a true lesson. Send the order. All available ships are to converge on human space. We will start with their colony on Proxima Centauri. As the orders went out, none of the Vaxary leaders noticed the small maintenance drone in the corner of the room. Its unusual components, installed by Daniel Hayes weeks earlier, quietly recorded and transmitted the entire conversation to the waiting Retribution. Admiral Susan Winters received the transmission in her office on Earth. Captain Elijah Wright's face appeared on her secure screen. Admiral, we've intercepted their response plans. They're mobilizing for a major attack on Proxima Colony. Susan nodded, unsurprised. They've reacted exactly as we predicted. Is the defense network in place? Yes, Admiral. The platforms were deployed last week under cover of a routine supply mission. The Vaxary have no idea what they're flying into. Excellent. Susan allowed herself a small, cold smile. And Captain Wright, what about the secondary operation? Elijah's expression was grim but determined. Lisa Blackwood has identified the targets that will cause maximum psychological impact. My fleet is in position on the far side of Vaxary space. We await your command. The command is given, Captain. When they move against Proxima, you strike. It's time the Vaxary learn the full cost of their actions. As she ended the transmission, Susan looked at the memorial wall in her office. Pictures of New Hope's civilians, families, children, elders, covered its surface. Justice is coming, she whispered to them. The debt will be paid. The Vaxary attack fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, their weapons hot and targeting systems active. 60 warships, nearly a third of their entire navy, moved in tight formation toward the human colony. Supreme, Commander Zexril observed from his flagship, anticipating an easy victory. No sign of human defenses, reported his tactical officer. Their orbital platforms appear to be standard communications and research satellites only. Excellent, Zexril said with satisfaction. Begin the attack, show no mercy. The massive fleet surged forward, but as they crossed an invisible boundary 20 million kilometers from the planet, something unexpected happened. Hundreds of previously hidden defense platforms suddenly activated throughout the system. They had been disguised as debris, asteroids, and maintenance equipment. Within seconds, these platforms created overlapping fields of energy that disrupted Vaxary targeting systems. What is happening? Zexril demanded as warning lights flashed across his bridge. Some kind of interference field, his science officer replied, voice rising in panic. Our weapons cannot lock onto targets. Our shields are weakening. Then, as if emerging from nowhere, 12 human warships appeared behind the Vaxary fleet. They had been waiting, cloaked by technology the Vaxary didn't know humans possessed. Message from the human vessels, the communications officer announced. The main screen showed Commander Alex Reeves sitting calmly in his captain's chair. This is Commander Reeves of United Earth Command. Your fleet has entered a defensive perimeter around a human colony with clear hostile intent. You are now surrounded and vulnerable. Power down your weapons and prepare to withdraw, or we will be forced to defend ourselves. Zexril's scales flushed dark with rage. Fire all weapons. Destroy those ships. But the Vaxary weapons could not lock onto their targets. Their energy beams scattered harmlessly in the interference field. Meanwhile, the human vessels fired with perfect precision, disabling engine systems and weapons arrays without destroying the ships themselves. Impossible, Zexril whispered as he watched his mighty fleet being systematically crippled. Within 20 minutes, 43 Vaxary vessels had lost propulsion, weapons, or both. The remaining ships were trying to retreat, but the human vessels cut off their escape routes. Commander Reeves appeared on screen again. Supreme Commander Zexril, your attack has failed. Your ships are disabled. We could destroy your entire fleet, but unlike you, we do not massacre the defenseless. Power down your remaining weapons and retreat to your territory. Consider this. Payment for another portion of your debt. The human ships opened a corridor, allowing the damaged Vaxary fleet to limp away in humiliation. As his flagship retreated, Zexril received alarming news from his homeworlds. Supreme Commander, his communications officer said shakily, we're receiving distress calls from multiple locations in our home systems. Human warships are attacking our shipyards and military bases simultaneously. Zexril could not believe what he was hearing. How many human ships? At least 30, possibly more. They appeared without warning, targeting only military installations. They're broadcasting the names of New Hope victims during their attacks. Captain Elijah Wright stood on the bridge of the Retribution, now commanding a fleet of 35 vessels on the far side of Vaxary space. His ships moved with precision from target to target, striking key military installations while broadcasting the names of the dead from New Hope Colony. The Xandar shipyards have been neutralized, reported his tactical officer. All weapons manufacturing facilities destroyed. No civilian casualties. Move to the next target, Elijah ordered. Keep broadcasting the names. Lisa Blackwood monitored the Vaxary communications from her station. Their military channels are in chaos. The psychological impact is exactly as we predicted. They never imagined we could strike their homeworlds. Their allies? Elijah asked. That's the interesting part, Lisa said with grim satisfaction. 6 species with economic ties to the Vaxary initially made threats about joining the conflict. But Daniel's quantum communication interception system is working perfectly. We're exposing the Vaxary's private messages to their supposed allies. Daniel Hayes looked up from his workstation. The intercepted communications reveal that the Vaxary have been manipulating these species for decades. The Krell just discovered that the Vaxary have been secretly sabotaging their industrial development. The Jarden Alliance learned the Vaxary planned to seize their colony worlds once the humans were dealt with. And how are they responding? Elijah asked. Lisa smiled coldly. The Krell have withdrawn their ships from Vaxary protection duties. The Jardan have frozen all Vaxary assets in their banking system. 3 other former allies have requested emergency meetings with Earth diplomats. Elijah nodded with satisfaction. The Vaxary are learning the true cost of their arrogance. Admiral Winters' strategy is working perfectly. On Earth, Admiral Susan Winters received the reports from both battlefronts with calm efficiency. The defensive operation at Proxima had succeeded beyond expectations, and Captain Wright's strikes against Vaxary military infrastructure were proceeding on schedule. General Miller entered her office with a secure tablet. The Vaxary Supreme Commander is requesting terms, Susan. Their message just came through diplomatic channels. Susan took the tablet and read the message. They want us to stop our attacks in exchange for reparations for New Hope. Is that enough? Miller asked quietly. Susan's eyes were hard. 50,000 lives, families, children. A simple payment is not enough. She set down the tablet. Send this response. New Hope had no terms, no warning, no mercy. Your debt is not yet paid. Miller nodded and turned to leave, but Susan stopped him. Frank, alert our economic team. It's time for Phase 3. The corporations? Yes, have them execute immediately. Susan looked at the memorial wall of New Hope victims. The Vaxary thought they understood power. They're about to learn they understand nothing. Supreme Commander Zexril sat in the emergency war room, with his advisors, all of them stunned by the day's defeats. Reports of destroyed military facilities continued to pour in from across their territory. How could the humans do this? One general asked. Where did they get such technology, such ships? They've been planning this for years, Zexril realized. When we attacked New Hope, we thought we were teaching primitives a lesson. Instead, we awakened something we didn't understand. A junior officer entered the room with a new report. Supreme Commander, there's something else happening. Across our worlds, major industrial facilities are suddenly changing ownership. Financial systems show that controlling interests in our key corporations have been purchased through various shell companies. We've traced them back to Earth. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. The humans had not only defeated them militarily, but had also been quietly buying control of their economic infrastructure for years. Send the message again, Zexril ordered, his voice hollow. Tell the humans we accept whatever terms they offer. The attack on New Hope was a mistake. We will pay any price they name. As the officer hurried to send the message, Zexril looked at his defeated generals. We thought we were punishing weakness. Instead, we have awakened a sleeping giant, and now the galaxy will never be the same. 2 weeks after the failed Vaxary attack on Proxima Centauri, the Galactic Council convened in its Grand Chamber. Representatives from over 100 species gathered to witness what many were calling a historic moment. The Vaxary delegation sat in humbled silence, their once proud posture now bent with defeat. Admiral Susan Winters led the Earth delegation, her uniform crisp and her expression controlled. At her side were Commander Alex Reeves, Captain Elijah Wright, and the specialists who had made victory possible, Lisa Blackwood and Daniel Hayes. They took their seats as the council president called the session to order. This special session will address the resolution of conflict between Earth and the Vaxary Dominion, the president announced. Admiral Winters, as the representative of Earth, you may present your terms. Susan stood and approached the central podium, her voice carried clearly through the chamber. Honored representatives, the conflict between Earth and the Vaxary began with an unprovoked massacre of human civilians at New Hope Colony. We sought justice through this council and were denied due to corruption. We were forced to secure justice ourselves. She activated a display showing the current military situation. Disabled Vaxary fleets, neutralized military bases, and the intact human colonies. We have demonstrated our capability to destroy the Vaxary military entirely, yet we have shown restraint. Unlike the attack on New Hope, we targeted only military assets. We gave warnings to allow evacuation. We minimized loss of life. The chamber was silent as Susan continued. Our terms are as follows. First, the Vaxary will pay reparations to the families of New Hope. The amount will be significant, but not crippling to their economy. The Vaxary representatives nodded in resigned agreement. Second, the Vaxary military will be reduced to defensive capability only. They will surrender all warships except those needed to patrol their borders against piracy. The excess vessels will be dismantled under international supervision. Murmurs spread through the chamber at the severity of this demand. Third, all former Vaxary colony worlds will be granted independence and the right to self-determination under a human-led transitional authority. The Vaxary have proven they cannot be trusted with the governance of other species. The Vaxary ambassador started to object, but was silenced by a look from his own supreme commander, who had been forced to attend the session as part of their humiliation. Finally, Susan said, the Vaxary will submit to regular inspections to ensure compliance with these terms. These inspections will continue for 50 years, 1 year for each 1,000 lives lost at New Hope. She turned to face the Vaxary delegation directly. These terms are non-negotiable. They represent justice, not revenge. Had we sought revenge, your worlds would now be ash. The council president looked to the Vaxary. Do you accept these terms? Supreme Commander Zexril stood slowly. The once mighty leader looked aged by recent events. We accept. The attack on New Hope was a terrible mistake, born of arrogance and false belief in our superiority. We have learned a costly lesson. As the terms were formally accepted, Susan returned to her seat. The council president then addressed the wider implications. This conflict has revealed disturbing facts about corruption within our own body. 3 council members have been removed for accepting bribes. Additionally, multiple species have reported similar manipulation by the Vaxary over many years. The president turned to the Earth delegation. While this body initially failed to provide justice for Earth, we must express concern about Earth's unilateral military action and the revelation of previously undisclosed military capabilities. Such secrecy undermines trust among galactic civilizations. Alex Reeves stood then with Susan's nod of approval. He stepped to the podium holding Emma's stuffed rabbit visible in his hand. This belonged to my niece. She was 7 years old when she died at New Hope. I am the only surviving member of my family. His voice was steady but filled with quiet emotion. Trust is earned, Madam President. When we joined the galactic community, we were told we would be protected, that justice would be guaranteed. That proved false. He set the small toy on the podium. Humanity came to the stars in peace, but we were not foolish enough to come unprepared. From our first contact with alien life, we maintained a careful balance, sharing much of our knowledge and technology while holding some in reserve. Not out of deception, but out of prudence. Alex gestured to the chamber around them. Recent events have proven the wisdom of that approach. Had we been truly transparent about our capabilities, would the Vaxary have hesitated to destroy more of our colonies? Would corrupt council members have feared exposure? The chamber fell silent as his words struck home. But there is more, you should know, Alex continued. He activated a new display showing a map of the galaxy. Small points of light began to appear throughout it, dozens, then hundreds of them. These are previously unknown human outposts and installations throughout the galaxy, established in secret over decades. Some are scientific, some are military. All were built with one purpose: to ensure humanity would never again be at the mercy of those who mistake kindness for weakness. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber as the extent of human preparation became clear. Species that had considered humans naive newcomers suddenly reassessed everything they thought they knew. "We came to the stars in peace," Alex said firmly, "but we came prepared for those who might choose war. The debt for New Hope has been settled, but let this serve as a promissory note to any who might consider humanity an easy target in the future." As the council session ended, representatives from dozens of species approached the human delegation with offers of alliances, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. Humanity's demonstration had shifted the galactic balance of power overnight. In the observation lounge of the new human embassy, Alex Reeves looked out at the stars alongside Lisa Blackwood and Daniel Hayes. The three stood in comfortable silence, each lost in their own thoughts. "Was it worth it?" Lisa asked quietly after a while. Alex watched as diplomatic shuttles from across the galaxy continued to arrive, seeking audience with the species that had revealed itself to be far more formidable than anyone had suspected. 50,000 people at New Hope, he said. My sister, my niece, your brother Daniel, so many others. Nothing can make that worth it. He turned to face his companions. But their deaths have ensured something important. They will never underestimate us again, and no human colony will ever suffer such a fate again. That's a debt we owe to the future. Daniel nodded slowly. The galaxy sees us differently now. Good, Alex said. Fear can lead to respect. Respect can lead to genuine peace. And peace is what we wanted all along. As night fell on the embassy, reports continued to arrive of military academies across the galaxy, adding the human campaign against the Vaxary to their study programs. Strategic analysts from 100 worlds reviewed the human operation with a mixture of professional admiration and primal fear. In less than a month, humanity had dismantled a major power through a combination of intelligence, precision, technology, and strategic foresight that no one had believed them capable of. The galaxy now understood a fundamental truth. Humanity pays its debts, both what they owe and what is owed to them. And the interest can be terrible indeed.